So have you seen this moronic buffoon over there in Scotland on his golf vacation that we get to pay for? $10 million in taxpayer money so this jackass can go play golf and promote his new golf course to enrich himself at our expense. It is unbelievable that we put up with this as a country. But apparently there is, I guess, nothing we won't put up with. I mean, when you consider paying $10 million so this buffoon can go play golf and compare that to other things that we've tolerated, like this guy inciting a violent insurrection to overthrow the country, well then, it's not really surprising at all. Apparently, there's nothing that this guy could do that would cause an uproar in this country. We are so screwed. Oh man, I hear there's another interstellar object hurtling towards us. I doubt we'll be lucky enough for it to smash into Earth and end all this, but you never know. Maybe gets too close to something, gets a gravitational assist and throws it towards Earth. You never know. I don't want to get my hopes up. Just kidding, of course. Anyway, did you hear this guy rambling on and on about frickin' windmills? Again? What the hell is with him and the windmills? I don't understand it. How come there hasn't been like a deep dive to figure out what this man's obsession with windmills is? How come he never gets a question? He never gets pressed on anything. I know this isn't, in the grand scheme of things, his obsession over windmills is not all that important. Hell, they don't ask the important questions anyway. They don't drill down on those. So maybe at least could you get to the bottom of his windmill obsession? You know what a lot of it is? When you listen to this guy and the things that he says, the stupid little talking points that he repeats over and over again. This is Fox News brain. That's what this is. That's how Donald Trump began to convert the Republican Party into a cult. The man believes in nothing. He doesn't care about almost any of these issues unless something personally empowers or enriches him. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about any of the issues at all unless it benefits him in some way. And so when he was deciding, when he decided he wanted to run for president, he had to figure out, well, what the hell am I going to talk about? I don't care about this politics crap. What am I going to say? Well, if you decide to run as a Republican, and so what do I say to Republicans? Well, I think he smartly just started watching Fox News all the time and listening to talk radio. And he realized, okay, this is what the base of the Republican Party says. This is how they speak. These are the stupid things that animate them. So why don't I just repeat what I'm hearing on Fox News and on talk radio? And that's what he did. And people, think that Fox News and talk radio and all the right-wing propagandists out there, they just repeat what Trump says. Now, that's certainly a thing. That certainly happens. It's mostly as a way to defend him. Right? So whatever he says, they have to adopt and defend. But what also happens, it's not a one-way street. It's not Trump says things and that's what everybody else in the GOP talks about. It also goes the other way. Trump gets the things that he's going to talk about from Fox News, right? So that's how he appealed to them in the beginning. he doesn't need to rely on them as much anymore. He could, he could just, whatever bullshit pops into his head, that will now become the talking points on Fox News or wherever else. But what helped him come to power and convert the Republican Party into a cult of personality was repeating to them the same things that they hear every single day on talk radio and Fox News. And he was the first person to come along really and do that. Now, Republicans before that certainly knew what was being said on Fox News and talk radio and all these other places. But they weren't just going to repeat what they heard on there, because so much of it was just insane, right? And this was back when Republicans still tried to be serious politicians to some degree. We gotta placate the lunatic, right? Talk radio, Fox News base, but we're not gonna go all in and give them everything they want and sound like the fucking lunatics that they are. But Trump didn't play that game. Trump said, well, this wasn't the result of deep thought on Trump's part. Don't get me wrong. But I think it was a conscious decision just to repeat to these fools what they want to hear. And that was the genius. And Trump has that. Trump tells people what they want to hear. That's part of the reason he got elected this last time. He went around to all these different groups and just made promises, told them what they want to hear. And there was no promise too ridiculous for him to make. And so he has always sort of had that. He has this ability to understand what people want to hear and just friggin' tell them that. Whether he believes it or not, whether he plans on doing it or not, just tell them what they want to hear. And Fox News made it so easy for him to know what they want to hear. Because that's how Fox News does their programming. They double, triple, quadruple down on whatever it is that gets the most reaction from the morons who watch Fox News. Same thing with talk radio and all these other places. They know what their audience wants to hear. They can see the audience data. Oh, when we talk about this, we lose audience. When we talk about this, the audience stays. Okay. Stop talking about that. Talk more about this. And that's why they just talk about the same. There's narratives at Fox News. It's like a friggin' soap opera. There's storylines that they develop. And they just ride those storylines as long as it continues to work with the audience. Trump saw that. He watched Fox News and he said, okay, this is what I'm going to say. This is what these people want to hear. So I will just tell them this. And I'll use the same language that they use on Fox News. And Trump was the first politician to come in and just repeat to these idiots exactly what they want to hear in the same language that they use to talk about these things, because they get it from Fox News and talk radio. And so that gave Trump this deep connection with these people. That's part of the thing. That's a key component of what turned the base of the Republican Party into a cult of personality. Trump was one of them, like no other Republican had ever been one of them. Anyway, getting back to the Scotland trip. So he's talking about windmills and all this other nonsense, and it's just Fox News garbage. Now, the windmills thing, I mean, he has his own personal obsession about windmills, which I just don't get. I mean, maybe he just really doesn't like looking at windmills, and they put one up in front of his freaking golf course, and he just took a personal affront to that, and now he just hates windmills. I don't know, but the man is friggin' obsessed with windmills. But he says the most ridiculous things. I mean, could you imagine, not that long ago, if a president in the United States, while sitting next to a foreign head of state, was rambling on and on incoherently about fucking windmills, talking about how windmills are they're going to kill us all, and they're killing all the whales, and all this just insanity. I mean, there would be calls for the 25th Amendment to be invoked. There'd be serious questions in the press about this man's mental fitness. It's all people would be talking about. Now it's like Donald Trump. Nobody gives a shit. Well, the guy's a fucking nut. And so he's saying what fucking nuts say. And, you know, whenever he does these joint press conferences, I try to imagine what must be going through the other person's head. You know, they're sitting there with the UK Prime Minister or whoever he's sitting there with. What is that person freaking thinking? Listening to this idiot. Knowing that this man is president of the United States. And he's going on and on about how fucking windmills are killing whales. The guy's a nut. And they got to sit there and treat him like he's not a nut. And pretend that all this is normal. Because the American people, in their infinite wisdom, elected this jackass. This unhinged fucking lunatic to be president. And now these foreign leaders got to sit there and pretend like he's a normal person. And you know, it's funny because not all of these foreign politicians play that game so well, right? Some of them, it seems like they don't even attempt to hide their contempt for Donald Trump. And I've noticed that more often than not, it's the women who sit next to him and just look at him like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But then some of the men just sit there. What the hell? Sorry about that. Anyway, the men are just, they seem, just my general observation, to be much more willing to just kiss Trump's ass. And it's pathetic, quite frankly. They sit there, and I'm thinking particularly about people like the Prime Minister of Britain, the head of NATO. Those two guys particularly are some serious hardcore ass kissers. Now, I understand they're playing a game. Donald Trump is president of the United States, but I don't think you need to be quite so over the top and effusive in your ass kissing. I know that's how you get what you want out of Donald Trump. I get it. And I guess maybe I can't fault them. I don't know. Now, what the hell? I fault them. You don't need to fucking suck up so hard to this guy. You know, you could just say nothing, right? When Trump is sitting there saying stupid ass shit. You don't have to pipe up and say, that's a good point, Mr. President. You know, and nod affirmingly and agree with him for the cameras when you know damn well you don't agree with him and that he sounds like a fucking jackass. You don't have to. You could just sit there, just stone-faced, and just let the lunatic say what he's going to say and just sort of physically, you know, divorce yourself from whatever, you know, not associate yourself with the lunacy that's coming out of his orange pie hole. You don't have to affirmatively go out of your way say, oh, yes, Mr. President. Oh, guess what? Windmills are killing whales. Oh, you're such a fucking genius. You don't have to do that. Anyway, the women seem to be much less willing to play that ass kissing game. He'll start going and they'll just be like, you know, they'll make it clear. They want everyone to see, yeah, this guy's a fucking nut, and I'm not associated with whatever the hell he's saying right now. Anyway, just an observation. Now, the most important thing that Donald Trump said in all of his rambling responses to reporters' questions was that he once again confirmed that he is still scared to death of what might come out about his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. For anyone who thinks that Donald Trump believes he has this all under control and he's not worried about it, he sent his personal lawyer there this guy who masquerades as Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, but whose real job is the same as his previous job, which is Donald Trump's personal defense attorney, sends him in there to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, and they probably have some sort of deal in the works, and everybody thinks that, people are concerned that Trump has this deal all wrapped up. She's going to stay quiet. He is going to be successful in suppressing all this information against him, and, he's going to sail through unscathed, as he always does. Well, you know who doesn't believe any of that? Donald Trump doesn't believe any of that. He still thinks that this stuff is going to come out. How do I know that? Because of what he says. He got a few questions about all this Epstein stuff, and his answers made it clear that not only is he scared to death about his involvement being exposed, but that he, I guess to some degree, expects that information is going to come out. Because he does what he always does when confronted with this kind of stuff. He lies and he deflects and he tells you exactly what he's scared of. Now, we got a question about Pam Bondi and Epstein, and are you in the files, and doesn't she have a duty to tell you? First of all, no, the Attorney General does not have a duty to tell the president that he's in the files. If he has come up in the course of investigation, of the DOJ's investigation, they're not supposed to give him a heads up so that he can order no further investigation of himself, or that he can order those records suppressed. That's not the job of the Attorney General. That's the job of a defense attorney. The Department of Justice is not supposed to be his personal defense firm. So that question really pissed me off. You said you don't know if you're in the it was something along these lines. You said you don't know if you're in the Epstein files or not. But doesn't the Attorney General have an obligation to tell you? Fuck, no, she doesn't. If she was doing her job correctly, she would be investigating and going to where the facts lead. And if she has evidence that the President of the United States, who appointed her to that office, committed crimes, then she has an obligation to inform Congress that that's what she found. She does not have an obligation to suppress that information in order to protect the president, or to tell him and then ask him what he wants. What do you want us to do? We found all this incriminating evidence against you that you may have, committed crimes. What do you want us to do with this information? No, that's not how it fucking works. She doesn't swear an oath to the president. She swears an oath to the Constitution of the United States and to the people of this country. That's who her loyalty is supposed to be to. The people of the United States and to the Constitution and the rule of law. She's not to act as Trump's personal defense lawyer. That really pissed me off. But anyway, he gets that question and, well, he pretends like he doesn't know, even though we know for a fact from the Wall Street Journal's reporting from several days ago that he is in fact in the Epstein files, and he was personally told that by the Attorney General back in May. So we know that he knows that he's in those files and that Pam Bondi told him that. But he pretends, oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm not really too interested in that. That's an old story. But you know who is in the files? I hear who is in the files. Bill Clinton. I hear Bill Clinton went to the island, and so did Larry Summers. So he's pretending he doesn't know. He's claiming ignorance. He's blaming other people, and that's what he does. And that's the best tell that he, like, for example, he was saying specifically that Bill Clinton and Larry Summers went to the island, but he says he never had. What did he say? I never had the privilege of going to the island. Very strange choice of words, given that children were raped at that island. You never had the privilege of going to the island where children were raped. You would have considered that a privilege. By the way, I don't believe for a second that he didn't go to the island. He's a fucking liar. Pretty much everything he has said about this has proven to be a lie. The exact opposite has been true. And anytime he does something, he blames other people. He accuses other people of having done the exact same thing. So I haven't been to that island, but Bill Clinton has, and Larry Summers has. Now, I don't know who's been to that island. Bill Clinton been to the island? Good, let that come out. I don't give a shit. Let it all come out. But this is, you know, this is what he does. Anyway, so he gets a question about Epstein. He lies, he deflects, and then this is how you know he expects that that information is going to come out one way or another. He goes back to calling all of it a hoax. He says he doesn't know what's in there, but if there's anything in there bad about him, then it's all a hoax. And he uses the dumbest... He sounds like such a fucking idiot when he speaks. He was saying something like, those files were run by Obama and Biden and Comey. What's that mean, run by? You run a file? Is that how that works? The files are being run by somebody? Guy's such a fucking idiot. Anyway, but he went back to the, you know, I'm not in there, but if I am in there, then it's all a hoax. Anything that's said about me is a total hoax. I mean, what else do you need? I mean, he tells you by how he lies and what he lies about exactly what the truth is. So when he says that, that means he knows damn well that he is in the files and that it's really bad. And so all of this, you know, continually saying that it's all a hoax and it was, the files were run by Biden and Comey and Obama and all this. He wants his cult to believe that when this comes out, as he expects it will, or he's afraid that it might, when it comes out, you're not to believe anything in there because it's all a hoax. Whatever it says about me with, you know, children, that's a lie. Those files were run by Obama. Anyway, that's the most important thing that came out of all of that. It's that he's still scared to death and he's preparing for this stuff to come out. Let's hope that it does. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon.